In this video, we're going to cover the biceps. Right? The biceps, as I'm sure you all know, is the big muscle in the front of your arm. As always, we want to start with the function of the biceps, and to figure that out, we're going to look at the attachment points. Right? So the biceps muscle attaches in your forearm and up past your shoulder into your shoulder blade. So the function of that muscle when it contracts is to bend your elbow or elbow flexion. Right? So that's the function of the biceps. We'll start off with the classic dumbbell curl. So the important things to keep in mind when doing dumbbell curls are to keep your body steady and not swing your elbows or your body. So you don't want to use your entire body to swing the weight, because obviously you're using a lot of momentum and you're taking the work away from your biceps. Additionally, you don't want to swing your elbow way ahead when doing curls either, because once again, you're using that momentum from the swing and you're getting a lot of anterior delt to help out. So keeping your body steady, you want to try your best to pin your elbows by your side. Don't let them swing or move. And just bring those weights up. Control the eccentric, which is the lowering. And by control, really, we just mean 1 to 2 seconds, nothing crazy. All right. It's okay if your elbows move a little bit. We're not robots. We just don't want to avoid excessive elbow swing like that. If you have trouble keeping your body steady or your elbows steady, what could help is doing your curls with your back and elbows against the wall. That way you'll have a physical cue of keeping your body pressed against something to keep your elbows set and your body stable. In addition to elbow flexion, the bicep is also supinator. What that means is it rotates your forearm to be palm up. So if you want, doing your bicep curls from a neutral position and supinating as you curl is completely fine as well. If you do want to get more out of that supination aspect of the bicep motion, what you could do is hold the dumbbell with your hand closer to one side, right? Have the side that's going to curl up, right, when you do supination, hanging lower. That way you have a little bit more resistance for that rotation. So I'll just add a little bit more weight further away from your rotation point of the supination to give you just a little bit more challenge. As mentioned earlier, the bicep attaches past your shoulder into your shoulder blade. So what that means is if when your elbow is in a more shoulder extended position, that is when it's behind your body, that'll give your bicep more of a stretch. So you'll get a little bit more growth out of your exercise if your elbow is in this position. So what we'll do is we're going to do a dumbbell incline press. All right, so you set your bench to an incline, somewhere roughly 45 degrees, a little bit more, a little bit less will be fine. We want to sit back and let your elbows hang down by your sides. So now your elbows are positioned back away from your body, giving your bicep that stretch. And from here, the same principles as earlier will apply. Keep your elbows in place, don't swing them, and just curl the weight. Control the eccentric. Don't swing your elbows to use momentum or get the anterior delt in there. And just perform your curls normally. All right, the standing dumbbell curl was a great exercise, but the incline dumbbell curl is a little bit better because of that stretch. When working with free weights like dumbbells, you're always working against gravity, which means your resistance is going straight down. So understanding that, if we look at our standing dumbbell curl, what we'll realize is that the resistance profile is actually very light on this bottom range of the exercise. So most of the resistance, the peak of which is right here, most of that resistance will be happening on the top range of the exercise, which means you'll have very little resistance and then increasing resistance there throughout the standing dumbbell range of motion. So in order to train resistance on that lower range of motion, we'll do preacher curls. So with our our bench, if I could speak, sit bend incline about 45 degrees, we'll just put our armpit in here, right? Set our arm, rest our upper arm on the bench. And now when we do our curls, right, we'll see gravity's going down that way, and the higher resistance profile is now on this bottom range of the curl. So doing these two exercises, preachers and basically any form of vertical curl, will allow you to work resistance on the full range of that bicep motion. So in curling, I definitely prefer dumbbells to barbells. And the reason that is dumbbells allow your arms to move independently, so each arm can move along a natural range of motion path of travel relative to its elbow. If you're using a barbell, your hands are fixed, and unless you're using an easy curl bar or have your hands at shoulder width apart, right, your elbows and your wrists are going to be feeling pretty awkward because your wrists are set to a fixed path of motion, which is different than the natural path of motion your elbows want to perform. But on that note, I have my pull-up bar attached here to my cable machine because my other straight bar isn't wide enough to allow me that shoulder width flat grip. So when doing curls on a cable, this is completely fine. But what you might want to try is flipping yourself around and facing away from the cable machine and doing your curls this way. The difference is now the resistance profile gives you maximum load right down here when your biceps are in your most stretched position, which will give you a little bit more growth. Right, this is similar to the preacher curl we did earlier. If you look at the angle of resistance and the position of my elbows. Right, conversely, the traditional way, which is also completely fine, we'll be packing that resistance mostly on the upper range of the motion. Another great exercise option if you have access to cables is a Bayesian curl. So what that is using a cable, you step forward so that your elbow is behind your body, which puts your bicep in that stretch position. From here, keeping your body stable, core braced as always, you just curl. Now, if you're in a gym with two cables, obviously you can do it bilaterally. But if you're doing one, if you're really strong, you got a really heavy load, or you just feel like unstable, or you're working against this torquing resistance, for more stability, you could place this leg forward. So the side of the body that you're pulling with, put that leg forward. This should give you a bit more stability against rotation. Additionally, it's always okay to grab anything nearby to help stabilize your body if you're really trying to put maximum load and resistance through this exercise. If you don't have any free weights and you've probably been working body weight exercises, you might have a set of rings. So you can always do your bicep curls on your rings as well. All right, so what that looks like is this. So the rings are super versatile, and you can get your biceps in that way as well. So if you don't have any free weights and you don't have any rings, you should at least have a pull-up bar. You've been following our 3 basic exercises routine. So if you do have a pull-up bar, don't forget chin-ups are a great bicep exercise as well. Right? So chin-ups are just like pull-ups, except instead of having your palms face out, your palms face towards you, and this will allow you to recruit much more biceps on the pull. If you really have zero equipment, let's say you're traveling, but you really want to get a little bit of bicep work in, what you could do if you had a table or something like that, if you really wanted to, is you could get some isometric exercises in. And what isometrics are is basically flexing and holding resistance without actual movement. So how that looks is if you were sitting at a table, you could be pushing your hands up against that table and you wouldn't be lifting the table, but the act of pressing up against that resistance, even without the actual movement, would be bicep contraction. And that would be an isometric exercise. Now, otherwise, you could always use implements you have around the house. It could be a backpack. It could be a jug of water. It could be a bucket with rocks. And you could always curl those objects to work your bicep actually through a range of motion. The isometrics is just the last resort. Or if you're sitting at a meeting and bored and decide you want to get a little bicep work in, just throwing it in there, back in the toolbox back there, just so you have it in case you really need it. Or if it happens to come in handy sometime. And that wraps our video on biceps. So as a quick recap, function of the bicep is elbow flexion. So anytime you have resistance going that way against this motion, you're working your biceps. Additionally, one of the bicep heads attach past your shoulder into your shoulder blade. So having your elbow in a more shoulder extended position will give your bicep more stretch, which is a little bit better for growth. Thanks for making it to the end of the video. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. I'd love to hear from you. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it and it'll help out a lot. Thanks, everyone.